And welcome to the podcast, Awesome Queer Theorists. We're your hosts, Willa Brown, Madison Fleming, and Abby Gunnarsson. Today's topic is queer Indigenous studies and struggles. We're here to specifically talk about the internalization of colonization within a reservation. So we will now let the lovely Madison kick us off.
We are glad to have you all here, queer theorists. I believe as Americans, we are all familiar in one way or another with colonization, and we know that shit sucks. As many white, straight, cis people know, y'all have been held up on a pedestal, and let's be honest, it's been that way for a long time. When it comes to Native communities, however, the white man's standard of colonization brought heteronormativity into these communities that did not necessarily have this standard to begin with. This heteronormativity created a binary of man and woman, a husband and wife, with the expectation that they would reproduce for society. Well, realistically, we know that white men love to step in where they didn't belong and predetermine the procreation of natives, but I digress. This gender theory goes hand in hand with Christianity, another common tradition spread from European settlers onto Native communities. Christianity, as a religion, aims to return back to the quote-unquote roots of society, continuously pushing the binary and suffocating others' rights to celebrate their beliefs. We can see these problems today both in and out of Native communities. In fact, some Native communities have started to experience homophobia and transphobia within their reservations because of how deep these negative beliefs have spread. While it's not surprising, it is incredibly unfortunate.
And on those lovely notes, it's my turn to speak. Jumping right back into it, due to the heteronormativity that came hand in hand with the colonization of Native people was the adapted inability or unwillingness to talk about sexuality and gender identity within a Native community or reservation. Prior to those pesky white men that happened to wander into Native territories, they were chillin', living life. With colonization came this terribly boxed-in, white way of thinking about identity, as well as being a privileged way of thinking, and the white man began to sexualize the Native people. We've all seen or heard or even read about the Disney's Pocahontas story. That beautiful Native woman is swept off her feet by the blonde-haired, blue-eyed white man, and, oh, what's that? They fall in love? Psh, yeah, right. That's what the colonizers want you to think. They tried to normalize this white horse saviorism while also making the Native people sexy in a children's movie. Ugh, count me out. This sexualization of Native people for the white person's consumption still happens. If you just think of all those people that you've known or seen that have dressed up as a quote-unquote sexy Native for Halloween or have a tribal chief as their mascot for a sports team, it proves that it's still happening today. This way of thinking and idealizations didn't go anywhere from when it first came here, people. We need to decolonize our way of thinking and talking of Native people and let their voices be heard more than the white folks.
Thanks so much, Willa. Hi, I'm Abby, and that leads us to our next section, Where in the World? For today's podcast, we interviewed Sam Campbell of the Bay Area American Indian Two-Spirit Tribe. Sam uses they-them pronouns and shared their knowledge on what it was like to be Two-Spirit in the early days of colonization, mainly in the regards to religion, as my co-hosts have talked about. Being taught that having this specific identity was a sin, Sam says. Our people had two choices, either accept God or be killed. Sam went on to express horrifying acts colonizers would subject upon those who identified with Two-Spirit. I just want to let our audience members know that there is a trigger warning. Sam described that in one public display of punishment, colonizers would aggressively throw two-spirited people in a ditch and have dogs attack and kill them. It's just awful. Emphasizing on how important it is to keep these memories alive and use them as learning mechanisms to make sure history does not repeat itself. And with that, amazing queer theorist, I want to leave you with a scenario. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to think. Who is going to bring justice to these Native people? Right now, they're fending for themselves while trying to pass on stories of hardship and hope of justice. How can we continue to, in Sam's words, keep these memories alive? Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Have a great rest of your day.